Hey guys, Carl from Purple Misplays. Today I'm going to be taking a look at World Wonders from designers Zé Mendes and publishers MeepleBR, MUNDUS, and Arcane Wonders. This is a spatial puzzle polyomino style game in which you're laying out different polyomino tiles to develop a sort of an ancient city, placing out different kinds of buildings and districts into your city and ultimately trying to sort of create locations where you can build wonders of the world. Disclaimer, I was given a review copy of this game for this video, but as always, I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on the game. With that said, let's head down to the table to see how this one plays in the solo mode, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a solo game of World Wonders, begin by placing the main board out onto the table. Shuffling and placing out each of the 6 different building tiles into the respective locations on the main board. And then to continue setting up for the first round of the game, one of each of those 6 building types will be turned face up and placed below the board, like this. Next, in addition to the building types, for each round we will be prepping one long road and then one set of 3 short roads, 2 of which are 2 spaces long and 1 of which is just a single space. And in addition to those roads, also placing out 1 tower for the round as well. So here again, you'll see I've got 1 long road, 1 set of 2 sort of medium and 1 small short road, and 1 tower. I'm going to keep the remaining sort of supply of those off camera for now, just to keep the screen from getting too cluttered, but I'll pull those in as needed for gameplay. And then to finish setting up the main sort of area of the game, we're going to place out these loan tokens that look like this. I'll just stick those over here to the side for right now. And I'm going to place on screen, just for ease of sort of explaining things later, there are these double-sided sort of player aids in the game. I'll place them both out on the screen just like that, so that they're available. Actually, let's slide them down a little, so that they're available during gameplay to sort of refer to as needed. And then finally, as the game is called World Wonders, the next step is to set out the monument cards. So I'm going to give those a good shuffle. And we will have 2 of those available to us at all times in the game. So I'll turn 2 of those over like that. Then getting the monuments that match those 2 cards, meaning this Lighthouse of Alexandria and this here big ziggurat piece as well. Will go out there like that. Next, because we are playing the solo mode, we will need the AI deck. So I'm simply going to take the AI deck, give that a good shuffle, and I'm going to place that out right here next to these monument cards, like that. And let me just slide up everything a little bit more so I have space for cards underneath that row if needed. Moving forward. Then finally, after setting up the sort of main area of the game, I need to then use this space over here to set up my own player area. And to do that, first we're going to need to place out 2 different boards. And the first board we will place out is going to be our sort of map board. And the map boards in this game are double-sided. The A side of every board looks like this with a big lake in the center. And the B side of every board has some kind of river running through it. They all are different sort of setups as to where these spaces are, as well as the sort of direction and flow of the river. But for this playthrough, I will be using this map right here. So I'll set that over here like that. And then finally, finishing my player area setup, I need this sort of resource tracker board as well. Then I'm going to put a tracker out at the sort of starting space of each of the different trackers, meaning gold, population, and then the 3 resources, which are food, ceramics, and gears. And of course, I'll explain how all of that works when we get into gameplay, but that is that for the setup of my board. And then finally, I also will take the player marker in my color. In this case, for the solo mode, it doesn't really get used for anything except for score tracking at the end of the game. I'm just going to set that right there to the side. In a multiplayer game, there are some things up here that will sort of allow you to manipulate your turn order with that piece, but in the solo mode, that's not going to happen. Because in the solo mode, the AI will always go first, starting every round, and I will always be taking the last turn in any round. And with that, we are all set up for gameplay. So World Wonders plays out over a series of 10 rounds, and in each round you see I'm going to have up to 7 gold to spend at any given time. Aside from if I take a loan, but I'll explain the loans in just a minute. So again, I have 7 gold worth of money each round in order to buy buildings, add roads, add towers to my board, and ultimately we're doing that to sort of build shapes or patterns so that we can then add the World Wonders to our board. And you can see that everything in the game does have a cost based on first this card here. Each long road or set of 3 small roads will cost 1 gold. These here are going to be turn order things that don't exist in the solo mode. 2 coins will get me 1 tower. The cost of buildings will get me a building. And the pyramids are going to cost whatever gold I have left, which I'll explain in just a minute in a little bit more detail, but will also be much more understandable once I get into gameplay. But basically, if I want to place out, I said pyramids, if I want to place out one of the wonders or monuments onto my board, whatever gold I have remaining means I'm going to slide all the way to 7 when I place that out. So that should be or will become the last thing I do in any given round. And the cost of the buildings is printed on the next tile in the stack, so 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, and 5 gold to buy those buildings respectively. So on a turn, we're going to be taking turns, the AI going first, then myself, back and forth, spending gold to get things or doing whatever the AI says in the case of their turn to place things out on my board until I've spent all 7 gold on things, or I've taken 1 monument and slid my gold all the way to the right, thereby ending the round. And on whatever round I use up all of my gold, either on buying things or placing a monument, that will instantly trigger the end of the round because I will always be the last player to take their turn during a round. So there are a variety of things that we're placing, and I'll explain a little bit more about why in just a second, but first I want to show you how the placement works. When we are placing things that we've bought onto our board, any road that we buy has to be placed next to another road, next to the sort of sidewalk path at the bottom of your board, which I'll show you in just a second, or next to a tower. And the towers can be placed next to anything at all that's already been placed on your board. And the buildings have to be placed next to either a road or another building of the same color on your board. It's also worth mentioning that all of those things must always be placed on land areas and not on water. The only thing that can potentially be placed on water are certain monuments that will be shown as being placed on water. For example, this one right here that I'll explain in just a minute. And these sort of natural resource areas on the board also count as land and can be built on top of, except that you will be scoring 1 point for each of those that remains uncovered at the end of the game. So as placing, you should do your best to avoid placing anything on top of those areas. So again, just taking a look at that before I talk about scoring or anything else, you will notice that I will kind of have to build up a network of roads. And I mentioned there's a sidewalk down here, or sort of a paved area down here at the bottom, which is where the roads are going to start from. And we're going to need this sort of network of roads expanding across the map because mostly the buildings are going to be placed next to those roads unless I can pair them with other buildings of the same color. But occasionally we'll find ourselves with no road to extend, in which case that's what the towers are for. Towers can be placed anywhere as long as they're adjacent to something I've already placed and they're placed on land. And from a tower I can then start a new road. So these are going to sort of be new hubs of extension that build out across my map. And while I'm doing that, there are a couple of things that I'm looking to do. Number one, again, I don't want to cover these because these are worth 1 point at the end of the game if they're uncovered. Also, while placing out these different shapes, if by the end of the game I can completely surround a shape by the edge of the board, by water, or by other buildings or roads, I will score a point for those buildings that have been surrounded. In addition, I will be increasing these resources every time I build a building. And you can see on each building at the bottom corner, there is a number of resources shown. And when I place that building out into my map, I will be receiving those resources. So every time I receive a resource, that resource is going to slide to the right up this track. And at the end of the game, whatever is my leftmost or lowest ranked resource will become points as written on that board. So if we had everything at 7 and one of them at 5, I would score 5 points for this being my lowest one. In addition, you'll see that some of these spaces have this population marker on it. And anytime you land or cross one of those, you're going to increase the population marker. And the population marker is basically doing nothing unless you can get it all the way up here to the end, because the main way you're scoring in this game is going to be based on these symbols that you see right there. So each ring that this population marker is either on top of or has passed will count as 1 point. And you'll notice that those rings are also printed on our monument cards. So every monument is going to be worth some number of rings or some number of points at the end of the game. And each monument card is going to have 2 things printed on them. First, this is sort of showing me how that needs to be placed on my board. And these things here are showing me things that must be adjacent to this building for this building to be placed. So if this building is adjacent to both a road and this blue tile type, then I must place this building on at least 1 water square and 3 other squares building that sort of 4 2x2 base that are either land or water. So at least 1 water and 3 of anything else of that shape. Touching a road and touching one of these blue building types, I can then place out that monument. Remembering that when I place out a monument, I will then instantly slide my money all the way to 7, ending the round. And that monument then would become 1 point for me, and it would get replaced with a new monument card that we can then work towards doing in a future round. And it's worth pointing out here that there are 5 different types of building type. That B or blue one that I just showed you is, I guess, biblioteca, because that's the library type. These green Fs are farms. These sort of tan colored H's represent habitation. There are also orange colored or sort of a orangey red color with an M on them standing for markets. And finally, you can see as printed on this ziggurat tile. Again, here this requires a 3x3 square of only land for it to be placed on top of. It must be next to a road, next to one of the library tiles, and this T here is a temple. So this needs to be next to a temple, a library, and a road, filling that 3x3. And in this case, I'd get 1 point and 1 advancement on our population track. So again, when placing out these things, we're trying to make expanding areas of a specific color or a single color so that I can continue to build there. We're trying to surround every tile as much as possible. I'm trying to build out networks of roads wherever possible. Most importantly, though, I'm trying to match the patterns on these cards so that I can take those monuments and score the points that they give me at the end of the game. In addition, any round that I feel like I need just a little bit more money to get things done that I want to accomplish, I can choose to take a loan. And a loan is going to instantly give me 2 additional gold for the round. So instead of 7, I'd go up to 9. But once I take this, it flips over. And what this means is, in a future round, I have to either spend 3 gold to get rid of my loan, meaning paying back my loan with interest, or I'm going to suffer a negative 2 point loss at the end of the game. So that's basically it for how the game plays. Hopefully, if there's any confusion, it will sort of work itself out as I play. But the last thing I need to explain is the AI. And that's great because the AI does go first every round. So I'm simply going to play out the AI's turn. So the AI is going to turn over their card. And what we're going to do is we're simply going to do whatever the top thing is on the card that has been turned over. So in this case, if the long road is still available, they will take it out of the round, so I can't use it. And if not in this case, they would take the rightmost monument. And the way the AI is going to score is actually a 2 sort of piece thing. If you're playing on standard difficulty level, the AI score is actually going to be a total of my 3 resource points at the end of the game. So I need to focus on scoring points other than these resources if I really do want to beat the AI. But in addition to that, if I'm playing on the difficult mode, which I think I probably will this game, the AI will also be scoring any points for any monuments that it does take. But in any case, this time they are taking the long road, and while I am putting this long road away, I should point out that while this is 2 sets of 2, on the other side of this is a sort of bridge tile. And the reason that is because these long roads can be placed across a river or across a body of water, so long as the 2 farthest ends are both placed on a land space. But in any case, the AI has taken that road out of this round. And now it's my turn to take an action. I see that these are both focused on blues and roads. I don't have any roads yet, so I do need to build them because I can't build any buildings without roads, and he did just take the long road. So I'm going to spend 1 gold and take these 3 roads. And you'll see then that I have 6 coins left. So I could do a 4 and something else. I could do a 5 and, either way. I could get this 4 and a 2 or the tower, but I don't think I want a tower. A road and a blue could look real nice over there. I think, yeah, I might do that. Let's see. I'm going to place out. It's kind of silly, but I'm going to place out this 2 road like that. And then I'm going to start over, Here I'll put 1 road like that to build off of. And, yeah, you know what? Let's make that a 3 anyway. It's too early for it to mean anything, so I'm just going to do that, and that is my turn. And you'll see why I did all of that in just a second. So I'm going to flip over for the AI. He takes the tower and this green piece here. Then I'm actually going to spend 5, going all the way up to 6 to take this big blue one. Yeah, that gets me 4 blue resources. 1, 2, 3, 4, passing 1 population, which pushes that to 1. And I'm going to place that right here against the water in that spot. AI takes their next turn. That's that's horrible. That's legitimately horrible because there's no small road, and that's exactly what I was planning to do, because that would have gone on that water and green right there next to a blue and next to a road, but they sniped me, so I'm going to give them that monument. Turning over 1 more. A pagoda. Has to be on land. This one here, Stenoji Pagoda. Has to be next to blue and one of these natural resource spaces, which unfortunately is not happening right now. That's pretty yuck. And I can't do anything for 1. I could take out a loan and do a 3 right now, but I'm not super thrilled with any of that. I mean, I could take, say for example, this guy and stick it in there. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna, because I don't want to waste that. So I'm gonna take it alone, and I'll stick it there, which means now I'm going to use 3 going up to 9 to take that. And I'll stick that right in there. Means that road was kind of silly, but it means I could have built those 2 things, so that's great. I go up 1 red, 1 green. And that's the end of the round because I took my last turn. He doesn't get to go again, luckily. So to reset for the next round, this slides back down. All of the tiles that are left go away. I'll refresh all new tiles, new roads, and new tower. And like that, we are all set up. And I do like what I'm seeing for this ziggurat. Now, it's worth mentioning here, the AI's deck won't reset until we draw the card that shows the reshuffle or reset action. Then I can see that this would fit sort of very nicely in there if I can get a road somehow. And, yeah, that means I need a road first. So I'm going to take a road. And this might bite me if they take the thing that I don't want them to take, but I'm going to put a road right there. And you'll see why in just a second. AI takes their turn, and good, they didn't take the thing I wanted. They did take another purple, but it's not the one I wanted. So I'm going to spend 2 to take this little purple guy right here, placing that in that hole right there, which does get me 1 more blue. I need to start getting some more red and green so I don't give lots of points to the AI and not to me, but that's okay so far. AI's turn is going to take the roads away, because that's what's left of the top option. Then me. I need to pay this loan off. Yeah, I'm going to pay off the loan, so that's gone. But then also, paying off a loan is a free action. My real action, I'll finish sliding that to take the ziggurat, which fits right in that hole perfectly. Now this blue one is surrounded on all sides, and both of these are also surrounded on all sides, so yay. And I can continue building out here like that. Ziggurat is mine. I get 1 point at the end, but I also move my population 1 right now, replacing that with Machu Picchu, which I've got right here is Machu Picchu. Worth 2 points, but takes up a ton of space. I need it to be next to 2 green spaces, but that's the end of the round. This slides back and we reset. All right, I do see a green there that I don't hate, but I also see a blue that could potentially fit in a way that I can place out Stenology. But anyway, the AI, roads first. AI places first. They are taking the square, which is good. Now, 2 blues and a green, not a bad idea. 2 greens and a blue is also not a bad idea. That's 4 and 4 is 8. I can't get both of them. And as far as things fit, I think I like that blue. 1, 2, 3, 4 takes that and fits right into this little hole there. Nicely. I'm going to have to fill in down here, but there's roads, so that's easy. I get 2 blues and a green. 1, 2, 3 gets me 1 more population. Yeah, it goes again. Ha! Takes the 1. Wants to take the 1. Ah, really? All right. They want the one I just took, then they want the one they took already, which means they're taking this away from me, which is really sad, because that was exactly what I was doing on my next turn. But let's see, maybe we get something better. All right, touching a tan and a natural resource area on a curve. That's not great. That's not great. Which means I want a road, but first let's put out the little piece for the theater. Right here, like that, goes here. But actually I think I'm gonna try and get Machu Picchu, because Machu Picchu fits real nice in there if I can get some greens to fill in the space. So I'm gonna take another loan again. Good or bad, I don't know. And I'm gonna spend 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to take that one. And I wish I could put it there, but there's no road in there yet. Oh, I can do, no, then if I do that, it doesn't fit here anymore. So I think like that, although it doesn't need a road. So if I can put a green here and then expand that green around the other side, it could fit right there instead. Yeah, let's aim for that. So we'll do that. Gets me 2 green and 1 blue, gets 1 more population. And effectively, I can still go 1 more time if I want to build something else. Do I want another road? I think the answer is yes. So they're going to take a turn. That's their reshuffle. So they're going to shuffle and then they'll take their turn. Placing their cards back out, turning over again. They are taking away this one, which is great. I'll use my last one to take a road, and I'm going to put that road here so it extends out and we don't lose our space. Means this blue one is closer to being surrounded as well, which is good. That's the end of the round. We reset again. All right, so the AI goes first for the round, getting rid of that blue. I want to take that one, 1, 2, 3, and I will place it like that, remembering that if the same colors are touching, I don't need a road, so green goes up twice and gets me one more population. That sets me up perfectly for Machu Picchu. Then AI goes and takes the step. And I really don't want this loan as a -2, so I'm going to use that to get rid of it now. And finish that round very quickly to take Machu Picchu and put that in there like that, or that. Hold on. Yeah, that's better because I can potentially stick something that way later on. That's mine. Worth 2 points later. We replace that with Tianmu Pagoda, which needs a market tile next to a water space. Okay. Doesn't help me now, but that is the end of the round, resetting again. He takes his turn, reshuffling. Flips the card, is taking away this purple one. Then I want to focus on getting the theater, which needs to be next to this and a habitation. This one unfortunately doesn't fit in there, so I'm going to spend 3. 1, 2, 3 to take that guy and stick it right there. Because then the theater fits right around that corner. I get 1 red and 1 green like that. AI goes next. Taking the long road away. Now, I don't want to waste that much stuff. I can try and get more blue. Not try, I can get more blue. I could put this guy down in here, which is almost full. I could take the road and sort of cover up this stuff to try and surround those things. I think I'd rather have the extra building. So I'm going to spend 3 more, 1, 2, 3 to take that blue one and put that in that hole right there. Pushing this up 2 more, getting 1 more population. Means they do get 1 more turn. And they are taking the small road. I'm so glad I didn't do that because they would have taken away my monument again, which means I push to the right and I take the theater. For me, placing that there in that corner like that. Resetting the round. And also getting a new monument, which is the Hippodrome. Needs green and a road. Oh my God, that's perfect. Okay, here's the Hippodrome, and you'll see it fits exactly in that hole, and it needs a green and a road, which is perfect. I just need to fill in some stuff, which is good for me. Then I want to do some things, but that is the end of the round. We're resetting. All right then. It's my job now to do everything I can do, to do as much as I can do with as much money as I've got, while also doing everything I can to make sure he doesn't get that. Hold on, roads come back too. Like that. Okay. What do I need? I'm out of roads. It means I gotta put down a monument somewhere. I mean a tower somewhere. Otherwise, start working roads over here. Which isn't a bad idea, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna do 1 to take a road and put that here. Hold on. The other option is to start filling in stuff over there. What do I need as far as, I need this, but there aren't any. Yeah, forget it. I'm gonna do this to take these instead. And it's a little bit of a waste. But do that. And yeah, why not? It's silly, but it's going to be a thing. That and that like that. He takes his turn. Getting rid of this purple one. I'm going to spend 2. This might be silly, but I'm putting a tower right there. Then I can build a road out here to get up to that area. But also that means this is now surrounded, which is good for me. He takes that big guy. I'm scared. I want to take that road, so I can do that. Problem is, if he then turns over a road card, road monument card, we're in trouble, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Yeah. Flips that. Whoops, not yet. I buy the road to put there, like that. He flips, and it is a road, but the good news is the next one is that. And I'm stopping there because I'm not pushing my luck anymore. Slide that to 7. Take my hippodrome. Ah, idiot. Idiot, idiot, idiot. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I know it's cheating, and I'm sorry. I know it's cheating, but I'm sorry. I'm redoing that. I'm going to put that there. And I'm going to do that like that. Hold on. Like that? Yeah, okay, we're gonna do that. And I'm sorry that it's cheating, but that goes there. That's what happens when you're not paying attention as you're trying to narrate things and you're pausing in between rounds to go do other things. Okay, done. That's the round. We reset. I take this hippodrome card first. Then, Ishtar Gate. Road and blue. There's my gate. Resetting. All right, then, looking at what I've got blue stuff with roads that could potentially get me a gate. I've got the ability to potentially do something with this over here to get me some water. The problem is, I need more roads, but we can make it work. Hold on, tower also gets reloaded. They go first, let's see what's happening. They take all the roads away. Great. Well, there goes that idea. Okay, this resets. Well then, if I just start building things to start driving up some of these tracks, that's not a bad idea. But that's 3 and that's 5 is 8. I need to focus on green and, ooh, this is not bad. Except I need one more something there. This works too, but blue, I don't want blue higher. I need red to go up. I may have to take a loan this turn. Let's see what happens. I'm doing 3 to start and taking that red one like that. Gets me 2 up here and 1 more population. They take their turn. Takes the tower and the little one. I'd love this, but the only place this goes is over here somewhere. And the problem is then I crush that land. And it might still be worth it, because this is great, but I can't afford it, and I don't have any roads. He just took the only blue away. I need another road that comes out here, potentially, or just expanding red. Yeah. I can't do anything except do those things. I could take this, pushing blue up more, but I don't like blue up more because that gets him more points too. It's a nice fit, but no, I don't think so. Yuck. That really stinks that he took that. I mean, realistically, I could do that, but that's a sort of no meaning because I lose 1 point from that and I pick up 1 point from that and meaningless. Is there a way that I can place this? That gives me 2 spaces by the water. There's not. but I need that there. And I don't want to waste money, and I don't have the ability to build that, and I can't build that. Oh, wait a minute. I can do something over here. I mean, I could do that, but do I want to? Maybe. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. All right, so that cost me 1, 2, 3, 4 is the end of the round. I do that, I get 2 blue and a green, which isn't the greatest, but population does go up again for that. We reset again. And then the AI takes their turn. Getting rid of the one that I really wanted for the red. Which means I'm spending, whoops, going back, spending 1, 2, 3 to take that. I'm placing that right there because that does then make the space for the pagoda. I get 2 more red, which is good. Gets me 1 more population. Flipping AI, they get rid of that one, which sort of takes away options. I want roads, because I want to fill in that backspace. I want to fill in that with a tower, potentially. Huh. Yeah, I wanted to get a big road and put that there. It's silly, except now I get a point for that, which is nice. They take a turn. Getting rid of this big green one. Still a little scared that they're going to take what I want. But I'm going to push anyway, 2 to take this tower to fill in that hole just to surround things. Cross my fingers I don't lose what I want. I don't. They take the small road, which means I end my turn with that pagoda placed there next to red and water. That's mine. I'm running out of space, so I'll start stacking them. Next one coming out is Anchor Wat, which needs a purple by the water. Not likely, but we reset for the next round. All right then, no purple. Blue could get me this, but blue's gonna keep pushing up blue, and I don't really love it. Not to mention there's no easy way to do that. So I think I'm gonna focus on expanding red stuff. So I'm gonna start with a 4 to take that one like this, putting it in that space like that, which gets me 2 reds and a blue. 1, 2, and 1 like that. Whoops, hold on, before I do that, that's cheating, the AI goes first. AI is taking this one away, which is sad, but I will do what I was hoping to do. 2 reds and a blue, put that there like that. But that does change my idea just a bit. AI goes again, reshuffling. And they are trying to take that which is gone, so they will take that one. Then, yuck. This may not have been the smartest decision. I was hoping to put that other red one right here, but it's gone now. Well, in any case, I'll spend 2 to take that one and put it there. Like that. Getting me 1 more red and 1 more population. AI goes again, taking the small roads. And I will end, ooh, bad planning on my part because I am 1 short for a tower, which is sad. And I am required, that's something I didn't mention before. You're always required to spend money when you can, which means I have to place a road somewhere. It means I'm either killing that one or killing that one over there. And I don't expect that I'm circling this one completely, whoops. So I think I'm going to have to either take a loan and build a tower and then place a road somewhere, or mess up this area right here. I wish that I could have done it with a small road, but unfortunately not now, because he took the road. And I don't think I want to take negative going into my final round, so I am going to have to buy this last road. And unfortunately, the only place it connects is here or here. So I am going to have to do that. Ouch. Sad. Then, resetting for our final round. And yeah, that's a whole lot of yuck right there. But we'll make do. We will make do. AI goes first. Taking away that green. I'm gonna spend 4. Right here, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see the cost is printed there. 4 to take that one. And place it right there like that. Which gets me 1, 2, 3 red. Hitting me another one of those. AI takes their turn again. And I forgot to replace the roads, but now they're going to take them away. My turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've only got 3 left to spend. Pushing one more green is not a bad idea. Oh, and I can block off that. Yeah, let's do that. 1, 2 takes this in that hole, which covers this square and gets me one more green, which gets me one more population like that. And since I only have 1 gold left, and I'm not choosing to take a loan, obviously, in the last round of the game, I am not able to buy anything if I took another turn, so that's the end of my round, so the AI is finished as well. So to finish scoring, we're going to flip this over. Let me clear all the rest of this out of the way. And then I can use my marker to score. So, endgame scoring first, we're going to take a look at the victory points from the population track, which I've got all 3. 1, 2, 3. Next to the lowest production resource is food, which is at 9, so I'm going up to 12. Then monuments, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Natural resources, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I missed 1, but that's okay. 27. And then city districts that are completely surrounded. No, no, no. No, I missed that. Sad. Okay. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 and 27 goes to 36. And I am done at 36. Then pulling out another marker for the AI. They're scoring the 3 tracks, so they start at 9 for my food track. Then 12 and 9 goes to 21 for the ceramics track. Gears is 13, means 21, 31. And a 3, 1, 2, 3 is 34. And that would be a win on standard mode, except that I said I was playing on hard mode, which means they get an additional 2 points from their monuments. 1, 2, tying me. But I did just check the rules, and the rules say if you scored more points than the automaton, you win. So unfortunately, with a tie, I don't win the game. But let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 1 space away here from closing that one. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 and 9 for my natural resources is 27. And then another 9 for this green track here is 36, and that is a tie. If this stupid road hadn't covered that last natural resource, I would have won by a single point. But that shows you just how close the AI is in this game when you're playing on the hard mode, and that is the end of the game. So while we're here, I do generally like to take a look at the components. You've basically seen all of the components out on the board thus far. The tiles here, let me show you a couple of them up close, are very clearly color-based, but also if you look very closely, they are all very unique in what's actually happening in each of these tiles. And it does look really, really nice. a little bit busy, so it does kind of look more color than alive at a glance. But looking closely at each of the pieces, it does sort of build the city as you're growing. The roads definitely look like roads going through. I do enjoy, I didn't do it at all this game, that you can sort of flip over the road and it becomes a bridge, and then you can sort of place it across the water like that. Very, very nice components as far as these go. The tiles are good. They all fit together very nicely. The cut is very obviously cut correctly. There's no tight squeezes to get the pieces to interlock at all. Track is very nice. The unique wooden pieces for the track are thematic as far as what each thing represents. Very nice track to keep track of everything. Granted, it's single layer, it's not dual layer, but it doesn't really need to be. It works perfectly well. I'm going to save the monuments for a minute because that's obviously sort of the draw of this game. The card quality in this game is not great. They don't seem to have a linen finish. It's a very smooth finish. And also, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but they are starting to curl just the slightest bit. And that is a little bit sad because the rest of the quality of this game is wonderful. And these cards do leave a little bit to be desired, but they're not bad. They do shuffle fairly well. And it works. The AI cards are very easy to understand, easy to parse very quickly, just looking at the thing and taking out what it says that they're supposed to be taking out. Very nice to have. Now, I mentioned this sort of wooden markers here. Let me show you first, before I talk about the monuments at all, the 5 different player pieces that are all sort of representing totem kind of things in different cultures. Very cool, very unique, different styled pieces. But of course, while you're here, this is World Wonders. The draw of this game is all of the different wonders. You've seen them as I've been placing out. Now, looking from the top doesn't look quite as cool as looking from the side because you see all of these things as these sort of 3D sculpture. Let me just show you quickly the different cards for all of the other buildings, and then I'll pull them out and put them on the screen. I'm not going to show you each one individually because that'll take forever, but here are some of the other things you can build. The aqueducts, Great Wall of China. These are cool, the multiple piece ones, because you can place them out however you'd like to, as long as each piece is adjacent to another piece in some way. And also the adjacency here on these cards means that at least one piece of those 3 pieces has to touch each of those things. You don't have to have these things touching all of the pieces or all of them touching one of the pieces. As long as something is touching something and all of these are touching each other, that works. The Parthenon, the Colosseum, obelisks. This is cool because you need to have a space in between the 2 of them. Roman bridge. The pyramids of Giza is really cool. Same thing like the Great Wall. There are 3 different pieces that have to touch, but otherwise, as long as 2 of them are touching temple tiles, it fits. Here's Petra. Moai, same as the sort of obelisks before. You need a space in between them, but they can turn a corner like that, which is cool. Chichen Itza, the port of Carthage, and the Trojan horse. So let me just clear this out, making quick note of the I do enjoy that on the back of the building track, they also have a score track, which is not necessary, but very nice and easy to help keep track of the score. So here on the screen are the rest of the monuments. Again, I have to say here, very, very, very happy. Clearly this is the draw of the game, is these big chunky wooden monuments. I'm a big fan of chunky wooden pieces, and all of these look really cool, feel really cool, nice weight to them. Some of them, as you can see here with Machu Picchu, is multi-layered, different screen printing colors on different pieces of it. They really did spare no expense. I mean, I just love the way that a lot of these look. You can see the stairs on there. Really, really cool. The 3 pyramids, as I mentioned, you could put them sort of any way you want to, so long as they're touching. You could have them turning corners and so on like that. Very clever. The Great Wall of China looks really cool as 3 pieces here. The Parthenon temple, really just great, great, great pieces. And it's silly that they're all in here because it takes up a lot of space, but it makes the game look really cool and it does give it a unique character and flair. So very, very, very pleased from that on my part. Now, last thing I do like to take a look at while I am looking at components is the insert for the game. And this one's interesting. I did save the token or the punch boards to put underneath the insert. And the reason I say this is interesting is this is fully cardboard, which is great for me because it means there's no plastic waste in this box. But it's interesting because a lot of the cardboard inserts that look like this are pretty much useless and just kind of get thrown out when you get the game, and then you just sort of bag everything up. But they've managed to create here a very useful cardboard insert, and let me sort of explain what that means. All of the cards fit sort of perfectly into this card well over here. Down in here, I've got sort of all the player pieces and baggies. I've got the player aid cards go in there. Over here, right now I spilled over some of the player pieces just as I was moving things for the video, but I bag each of the different polyomino pieces in bags, and that all goes in there as well as the roads and the tower pieces. And then realistically, all of these wonders can just sort of get thrown in here loosely. Yes, you might be a little worried that they might get dinged up or banged up, but they are all chunky wood. Everything is very nicely made, so they are pretty sturdy. But more importantly, and this is where I say it's pretty cool what they've done here, is that the scoreboard and these player boards fit very nicely in there, holding in the cards, holding in all of those pieces. And then on top of that, all of the map boards fill in that space like that perfectly, locking in all of those monument pieces. And it just fills the box very nicely, especially when I have the old punch boards in the bottom. It ends up being super flush with the box with the lid on, and I have to give big thumbs up for this insert being made out of cardboard and still being sort of layered like this, how everything fits into different things really nicely using a very simple cardboard insert, and I'd love to see more of this in other games in the future. So that's basically all I have to say about the components. Meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. So here we go, a spatial puzzle polyomino tile laying game, and it should come as no big surprise that this game is a very good game for me, and I enjoyed this game quite a bit. So let me sort of dig into each of the pieces and aspects of the core mechanisms of this game to sort of describe exactly what it is that works so well for me as it did. And at its core, this game, as I've mentioned already, is a polyomino tile-laying spatial puzzle kind of game in which you are sort of developing out this ancient city, placing out different districts and different colors and different sort of types of buildings, you know, markets and farms and temples and so on, and then ultimately trying to arrange them in the correct patterns to then be able to meet the conditions of these sort of wonders of the world so that they can then be placed out into your city as well, and that's where the majority of your points are going to come from. So first, focusing on the polyomino piece. And this doesn't do too much different sort of as the core polyomino tile laying piece is concerned, but like most polyomino games, the sort of major aspect of this piece is that you're laying out these different shaped tiles, hoping to sort of most efficiently fill the space, trying to interlock these different tiles wherever possible, because at the end of the game you will be scoring points for any shape that's completely surrounded on all sides by other things. So you are really trying to sort of pack these shapes in, just like you do in a lot of these other sort of polyomino tile laying games, and this is sort of the same kind of idea as this sort of core tile laying piece. But that's sort of where the similarities end, because then this takes it in a variety of different ways. The first big way is that the placement rules for placing out the different tiles on the city map are related to sort of designing a city, which means that you need to continuously be growing out this sort of network of roads or streets through your city. And each of these buildings can only be built if they're adjacent to one of these streets that you've already built or roads that you've already built in your city, which is interesting because you start with the bottom of your sort of player mat as a sort of starting road, and then you build from there, and then you're sort of extending out and then building buildings off of these roads. But you don't have to place a building next to a road if you already have a building of a color that you're trying to place, in which case you can basically extend the district or extend the area of that building type naturally off of the part that's already been placed onto your map. So there's this unique aspect of different types of tiles, not just shape, but color of tiles, and how they're getting placed onto your map, because it might be easier to continue pushing towards one color because you can continue expanding without thinking about how this network of roads is playing out on your map, which adds this extra layer of which tile am I going for, not just because it fits in, but because it's going to allow me to continue growing out on my map. And that's going to be important because I need to be able to place sort of as much stuff as I can to get as many tiles out, to get as many tiles surrounded as I can onto my map. But more than that, as I'm going, also printed on the map are these natural resource spaces and also water spaces. And these are things that either I can't place on in the case of the water, or that I don't want to place on in the case of the natural resources, because at the end of the game, every natural resource that remains uncovered is going to score me 1 point. And you'll see in this game that 1 point is actually fairly meaningful, and doing your best to not cover up those natural resources is a very, very good idea. So now you've got this idea of how you can place things based on roads or matching colors, how best to slot things in so that the pieces all fit together to fill in the space as efficiently as possible, but then also, as part of this efficiency, leaving these particular gaps in the puzzle as well where the natural resources are already sitting. And this idea of how to pack things in without packing things and how to connect things to allow for future connections of different things really does become a very interesting puzzle. And the way that you're doing this takes things even further, because you're also focused on how you're getting the tiles. This is not just a simple draft of take a tile, place a tile. You're paying for these tiles. There is a sort of market in this game where every round you've got one of each kind of size tile and a road, 2 different kinds of roads, and a tower that are available to you, and you're spending gold to buy those things. So you then do have to pay for all of the things that you're buying. So you need to make sure that everything you're spending money on is the thing that you really want to be able to take to be able to fit your puzzle as well as possible. But then on top of that, we keep going on top of, and I'll come back to this money thing in just a minute because I did forget to talk about something really big. But before we get there, as I'm placing out the different colors of buildings, the colors matter again, because as you place buildings out on your map, each of the buildings has different kinds of resources that are printed on your building. And as you place them out, you get those resources. And at certain thresholds on each of the resource tracks, you're triggering a population icon, which then increases the population of your city. Because as you grow and develop your city, you're bringing more people in. And ultimately, at the end of that population track are 3 spaces that will get you points. So as many of those tracks as you can drive up to push that population track up really is going to matter. And that's really, really important to focus on as well. So now it's not just about focusing on the color so that they can connect to other buildings, but now it's also about focusing on the color to get the right resources that you need for later on. And more importantly, during this, you also have to maintain a sort of level of balance, because at the end of the game, you're going to score points based on only the lowest of the 3 resource tracks that you've pushed up at the end of the game. So if you've been focused on one color or 2 colors specifically, and one color sort of been left behind, that means at the end, when it's all the way at the end of the track and has nowhere else to, or hasn't moved at all, you're not going to score any points because you haven't pushed that track up. So you kind of have to do your best to push up all 3 tracks as sort of evenly as possible, so that at the end of the game, you've gotten as much of this population sort of success as you can, but also have scored as many points as possible from that resource track. So this balance of focused on the polyomino placement piece, as well as this piece of how to get the resources best from each of those pieces as you place it, is going to be really important. But then focused on all of this thing is also this idea of the wonders, right? This is called World Wonders for a reason, because you're trying to ultimately place out wonders of the world onto your board, because each of them is going to score you points at the end of the game, and a large amount of the points that you're going to be scoring will come from those wonders. And those are not something you can just draft and place. These are then something that you need to have set up specific sort of scenarios or settings for those wonders to be built. I need to have a specific kind of building and a road, or a specific kind of building and next to water, or a specific kind of building with this particular shape of land that also has one piece touching water, and so on. And each of these wonders has different conditions that need to be met in order to be built. So while you're placing out the polyominoes to fit and slot together, you're also trying to figure out how to make spaces that fill perfectly with these monuments or these wonders of the world that do help surround the tiles you've already placed, but that also fulfill the conditions as written on the card for that monument. So there's just this level upon level upon level, and then coming back to the market idea, I mentioned before that everything costs gold. Well, this is where things get even more interesting, because those wonders of the world cost anything. Or more realistically, cost everything, meaning whatever you have left over is going to completely be spent to buy that wonder, which is very interesting, because it could be that that huge wonder that takes up a ton of space and scores you points is only going to cost you 1 gold. The problem is, in order to get that, you had to have gone through turn after turn of buying smaller things while your opponent is also taking things away. And by the time you get there with having that 1 gold left and you are going to spend that 1 gold on the monument, it might not be there anymore. So here's this extra layer of sort of push your luck and risk management, because each round has one of everything in the market. And as soon as it's gone until the following round. So you really have to pay attention to not only how are these things fitting on the board, not only which resources am I getting for things, not only do I have the network of roads necessary to even place things out, not only am I matching the conditions of these wonders, but I am paying attention to who's taking things and when they're taking them. And if I wait 1 more turn, will that thing still be there? And how much of that risk am I willing to take? Because if I take a risk and someone takes it away, I may be able to pivot and try something else later on, but that pivot is going to be tricky. Luckily, there is a little bit of a flexibility thrown in there in a system of what is basically a loan system, where you can take an additional 2 gold on a specific turn. And then in the future, though, you have to then pay back 3 gold or lose 2 points at the end of the game. And as I said, each point in this game really does matter. So losing 2 points end game could be the difference between a win or a loss. But the ability to have the flexibility to take a little extra money if necessary, to sort of pivot and make an adjustment if somebody takes something you weren't expecting them to, or you realize you found something that was better and you've already spent your money, or you realize that you really need to set something else up before you can place out that monument. There is a little bit of flexibility built in there. But ultimately, all of this stuff stacked together really does make for a great puzzle. And there's one more small thing I should talk about, and that's the towers, which does add another little bit more flexibility as well. Because I mentioned that everything is growing off of this network of roads or off of colors of buildings built before, but there are occasional points in the game where you will absolutely find yourself having blocked off all the roads. You placed out some big buildings and now there's no more roads left to build off of. And if that was the case, that was the only way to build in this game, you would find yourself really, really having some analysis paralysis in this game and really thinking out every turn, because it would be really, really sort of pertinent that you put the roads down in exactly the right place to fill in as many buildings as you could around that road, or that you'd really have to focus on specific colors to grow out giant areas of that color. The towers allow you to correct this. If you suddenly find yourself blocked off from all roads, you can drop a tower anywhere so long as it's next to something you already built, and that allows you to then restart a network of roads from that point, which really is life-saving later on in the game when you started filling in all these holes very nicely and tightly and efficiently and realized, whoops, now I've got a second half of a board with nothing in it, so I can't do anything. Drop a tower, expand, and then you keep going again. So I'm really loving this balance of polyomino spatial puzzle with sort of push your luck risk management market buying piece with this sort of different colors of resources that need to be balanced, but also paid attention to the sort of balance of where to put roads and where to extend color districts, the balance of which wonders to focus on and how quickly to get to them. It all just plays in really, really nicely together, and these layers really do all work together very nicely. So this is a solo channel, this is a solo review, so I should talk about the solo AI as well. I happen to be a very big fan of what the solo AI is doing here. It does, I haven't played this multiplayer, so I can't say for sure, but it does definitely feel like it would feel very similar to a multiplayer game. And that's because the main sort of interaction point in this game is that market, and when something gets taken that you can't take then later, or when you take something to deny something of somebody else. Now, the denying of somebody else in this doesn't really matter in a solo mode because the AI is not scoring. But as far as the AI taking things that you might need, it really does feel like an opponent would be sort of sniping pieces away from you as you're playing. And it really does play with that risk management, push your luck kind of thing. And it works very well because, as you saw in the playthrough, all I do is turn over a card. And starting from the top, I remove the first thing that the AI can still remove from the game. Well, what that means is as you're playing, the things start disappearing, and the things that the AI is looking for are going to slowly be disappearing. Which means that it's very likely later on in the round that those things won't be there anymore. And at the bottom of most of those cards is where the AI is going to start taking those wonders of the world instead of you. So that means the longer I wait to take a wonder, the more likely it is the AI is going to do so. And that's the same way it would be in the multiplayer game, because as you wait longer in the round, people are using more and more of their gold, and they're getting closer to the end of that gold track, which is when they're more likely to try and go for a monument. So it really does sort of squeeze the system down to that point where they have nothing to do but take a monument, just like the multiplayer would do in a multiplayer game. So I appreciate that it works very well that way, and it really does make me make some real decisions about, can I skip taking this now with the risk that I won't get it later and then do something else instead, or do I really need to get this now or I'm completely out of luck for the next turn? And that risk management sort of decision-making space is really, really good in this game against the AI, and I appreciate the way that it works. Now, I have heard some complaining or some negativity about the way that the AI scores online. As you saw in my playthrough, the AI scores their points by simply adding up all of the points on your research tracks, all 3 of them. And then if you're playing on a difficult level, adding up the points that they get from the monuments. Now, the AI is not going to score a ton of monuments, so that doesn't really change the difficulty all that much. But basically, the complaining or the negativity is that as you do well in this game, your resource tracks increase more, and then the AI scores more. So the better you do, the better the AI does. And that's true to a point. But I appreciate this system because what it does is it forces me to focus on all of the aspects of the game. I can't just score a bunch of points from resources and sort of forget about the rest of the game. I have to focus on efficiently packing my polyominoes so I get the points for surrounding things. I have to focus on building monuments as much as possible and making sure that I'm constantly fulfilling the conditions of the next monument that's coming out. I also have to focus on sort of balancing my resource track, because if I have one resource that's way back, I'm not going to score many points from it, but the AI is still scoring all of the points from the stuff that I did push up. So I have to really pay attention to the balance of things. I have to really pay attention to that efficient packing of things. I have to really pay attention to hopefully scoring points off population, hopefully scoring a ton of points off of the monuments, hopefully trying my best not to cover up any of those natural resource spaces. So there's lots of stuff in the game that I need to pay attention to and I can't just forget about in order to beat the AI. And I think that makes for a really good AI system to me, because it really does make me explore all of the aspects of the game, and I can't just sort of give up on certain things. Now, while I'm talking about this all aspects of the game thing, though, there is one somewhat big negative for me, and it's not really a negative as far as how the game plays, but it's an unfortunate negative as for how the game could play. And that's that in the multiplayer game, there's a deck of public objective cards for a sort of advanced mode of the game. And these cards are basically unique goals that the players need to aim for, trying to do specific things, and whoever does it best scores those points at the end of the game. And I always appreciate it when a game does things like this, because it does force you every time you play the game to try something different or try something new or focus on something you haven't focused on before. And that's the kind of push that I usually need to try new things in games like this, and it really does up the variability in games like this. But unfortunately, in the solo mode for this game, there's no way to include those public objectives because the AI is not collecting anything, the AI is not building anything. There's no way for the AI to compete with you against those goals. Now, probably they could have set a threshold that you needed to do this much of the goal in order to consider it a win, And there may still be a way to sort of house rule those into the game, but unfortunately, as written, the solo mode doesn't allow for those public objectives, and I'd really love to be able to use them, so that is a little bit unfortunate. But otherwise, as a whole package, I'm really loving this game. The chunkiness of these wooden monument pieces that you put out on your board is a whole lot of fun to play with. This combination of push your luck risk management, polyomino spatial puzzle, sort of resource management color system, all tied together in one game is a whole lot of fun. It looks pretty on the table. It's fun to play with the pieces. I gotta say, I'm a big fan of this game, and I definitely recommend checking this one out if you are a fan of spatial puzzle games, polyomino games, a little bit of push your luck in a game. If you don't mind an AI, this one's very smooth, very easy to run, so it's not like you're putting a lot of work into it. I definitely say check this one out if it sounds like something you might be interested in. I hope that this video was helpful. As always, I do ask that if you did enjoy this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.